I think happiness is in like all the little things. That's when I find like the most happiness, when I just notice like small things.
Happiness, okay, so happiness to me is finding something you're really, truly content with being. Like, finding yourself, like, whether it be in 10, 20, like, 2, 4, like, however many years, finding yourself and truly being content with your life.
People. People's a big one, so I think people.
Being, like, just humans in general always seem to want more and more. And so, I mean, I'm really happy with where I am, with having a great girlfriend, having a great relationship with my friends and family and everything. So, I think I am happy right now.
I don't know, I don't know if I'll ever be happy, and I don't know, I don't really know what happy is. But I'm definitely okay, and I'll always be okay.
I'm pretty much always happy, but I sometimes have sad moments.
My biggest struggle has always been understanding why I should be alive. I know that sounds so dark. It's never been like I want to be dead. It's been sort of like I don't want to be alive exactly, you know? It feels like there's no reason, there's nothing really that will ever trump how hard life is. Or it just feels like that. I don't know. The biggest question that I ask myself is why should I be alive? You know, it always feels like being dead would be a lot easier. You know, as a person, I don't know who I am really, so that's pretty scary.
Sometimes I feel like there's no meaning and there's no purpose and I'm not supposed to be alive. And that's when I get into my really low points. I think to myself, if I'm feeling this much pain inside and this depression and anxiety, and it's so unbearable for me to go to school or do the things that I used to love to do, then what is the point of me being alive? I felt like it was a sign that I wasn't supposed to be living. Being in my lowest low, about to kill myself, has really made me appreciate my highs because I remember that there are times I can feel good too. It's just hard to remember sometimes. I never really have a consistent feeling on whether or not I want to be alive or not. 2 weeks ago, I wanted to end my life. And now I feel like one of the best times I've ever felt.
The hardest thing I've ever been through is my dad's death when I was 11 years old. He got diagnosed with a brain tumor and went into surgery. And surgery didn't work out so well. So yeah, the outcome just was not good. And I don't have him anymore. And I learned how to be strong and realize that every last minute with someone, every minute that you have with someone could be your last. He knew everything about me. He made me an absolute better person. He reminded me of everything that was good and everything that was happy, and he was energetic with me, and he played with me whenever I needed to blow off steam. And now, every day when I feel something that I'm too scared to feel and need to get back in focus, I think, what would Brad do? What would my dad do?
My parents weren't doing good for a long time, and they got a divorce, and they're back together now, which is crazy, but so there was a long time that was very, very hard, and my parents were they had the worst fights. They were always screaming, and I was always so scared. And my brother is younger than me, and so he was kind of the one that would be quiet and just kind of ignore what was going on, and then I would be the one who was scared and would listen around the corner with 911 dialed and just always be having to listen because I didn't know what was going to happen. But I think there was just like, they just weren't, it wasn't healthy at that time. I don't know, something just was not good. And they weren't communicating that well, I don't know. But, so I think that's why. And then when they got back together, like now it's like beautiful, like it's amazing. And it was amazing at some points before the divorce and everything. But I think because right now it's amazing because like they're honest and they communicate and we have, I don't know, it's like just we have a little more stability. I don't know, it's hard to explain. I'm not sure exactly why though. I think there was just something missing and something that wasn't like just working.
Work a lot. My dad is traveling right now. He's in California. I feel kind of sad because I miss him a lot. It makes me sad inside, but on the outside I just feel cold.
One of the most difficult moments of my life was when I struggled with wanting to commit suicide. It was for about 2 years, and then off and on a little bit junior year, just the start of junior year. I had really, since I didn't have very good confidence in myself, I just didn't feel good about myself, and I was hurting my parents and hurting my friends, and I wasn't being nice to anyone, and just having to know that if I did take my own life, there would be people who, I know there are people who care about me, so if I did that, it wouldn't just be affecting me, it'd be affecting everyone around me, and my parents, and my sister, and my friends, and everyone that's in my life.
I've had moments where if I were given a gun just in my hand, I probably would have just shot myself. But the actual action of like taking pills or overdosing and having like get the resources to do that, I guess is what's holding me back. I think it's kind of like that concept is overwhelming and scary to me. But if I had the opportunity, just I have been to that place where if I've had the opportunity, I would just do it. They ask me things like, what makes you happy? It's like, I don't know what makes me happy really. Like there isn't a set list of things that I can do to make me happy or else I'd be doing them.
I'm really passionate about biking. I love to bike. I think biking, I built my own bike junior year, in the junior year, summer of junior year, and that was really like, I think the last step that took me out of the phase of the depression and the self-hate. And that was the last step that it really brought me out of that. And when I finished building it, I knew like that was the time, like this was, it's all going forward from here. And so like that helped me find something that I was passionate about. And now I bike all the time, I bike to school, I have 2 bikes and I ride them all the time, and it's just something I love doing all the time. And whenever I feel sad or feel bad about myself or something I did or have to think about something, I just go for a bike ride.
I think part of the reason that I had such a hard time communicating with people, though, was because my older brother he's really emotionally damaged. He's kind of weird. He's really smart and everything, but he doesn't like socializing. He doesn't like it at all. He doesn't do that, and I could understand why he feels that way because both of us, me and my brother, we have an older brother who has Down syndrome, and he's an autistic savant, and he's severely disabled. He can't hold a conversation with anyone or anything like that. And we both he and I had that. We had him as an example of how to act with people. So we didn't talk, we didn't like talk to people. We just did what we wanted to do, we did our own thing. And I feel really bad about that now, like looking back at how I acted with my brother who has Down syndrome. I feel really bad about not understanding that he couldn't help the way he did things. And I would get so frustrated because I just felt like he couldn't cooperate with me, or he wouldn't, and he just pissed me off so much. So many people have so much going on internally, and of course no one ever means to offend you or do you any harm, but it just kind of happens because everything's going on in our head, and you don't realize that things that you do affect other people, really. So I took that in, that Dylan doesn't have any idea that he bothers me like that. And I realized, oh my God, if I treat Dylan with love and acceptance, he'll feel more comfortable around me. And he really did grow, like he grew onto me, and we're like best friends now. Everybody always jokes like I'm his favorite because he always comes to me, and we get along great because I just hang out with him and I treat him like a normal person would.
My grandma had a stroke when I was first born, and so she's paralyzed on half of her body, and she to this day has not stopped trying to improve her walking, and even though she's paralyzed on half of her body. And she was actually she was one of the national top best piano players, and since she can only play with one hand, it's been really hard for her, but she doesn't stop trying, and she always sits down on the piano every single day and just plays piano for hours and hours and just keeps getting better and better, and that really inspires me.
The reason I fell in love very recently is because this girl had an air about her that kind of just took up the whole room. She walked in and all focus was on her. And that's kind of what I look for, because that's how I see myself. And I look for myself in people, definitely. And it was amazing. It was crazy. I was so mesmerized. I looked at her in the eyes and I couldn't even believe. I just started talking to her and I immediately was so comfortable. I went out of my way to talk to her. It was crazy. I don't know what made me do it, but I did it. And the first night that I went over to her house, her parents got in a huge fight, and I knew that I wanted to stay because I wanted to help in every way that I could to make her life easier.
And just the feeling of love for me is like, I care so deeply about this other person that all I want in life is for them to be happy. I think that was the most powerful feeling of happiness that someone could give me. I think the reason I was so drawn to this person is that I felt like I could be my full self in front of them, which is never something I really believed in. Like when people told me that happened, I never really believed that because it's so hard for me to be myself in front of people. And I honestly don't even know who I am really as a person. So when I found him, it just felt right. We'd actually been together before and then had sort of split up and gotten back together again. And I think that time apart made me realize how important he was to me.
I didn't really think of one time when I was like, oh, I definitely love this person. It wasn't one thing that happened, but it was just a series of events, and I just realized I wanted to be with them a lot. I realized I was just seeing the good, and I just love all parts of them.
okay, I want you to fucking know that you can love yourself. And that's because that is everything. That is the biggest thing I've learned, is that you have to love yourself, and you have to have love for all the things around you, and you have to know that you're okay, and you have to know that you're good enough, and that everybody is good enough. Like, I don't know, I think love is such an important.
I would want to tell my 5-year-old self that I'm beautiful. And I really think that ingraining that into myself and believing that, and like raising your children to believe that, is super important. I know I've looked in the mirror before and just thought I was the most disgusting person I've ever seen. And I thought there's no point to me being here, or that I just mess everything up. And I think it's important to know that I am beautiful, and like I can recognize that now, and I feel good. And so I just let myself know that.
Fucking just do it. Just be yourself. Go get it. You can do it. Believe in yourself. That's another huge thing. Like, you are your own person, and you have the complete ability to like make your life what you want it to be. And I mean, there are a lot of things that can hold people back, and like there are things that happen, there are things that exist that are very hard, but like, for the most part, like, you can do whatever you want, and you can go after it, and you deserve it. Like, you deserve everything you want too. And you're deserving of love!
I think it really is important to love yourself, because if you don't love yourself, you can't give somebody else love. And if you can't give anyone else love, then it's hard to have connections and relationships with people.
But don't try to be someone that you're not. Because every part of you is beautiful.
You're always beautiful, and just keep staying you and don't change who you are for anyone.
Like, every moment is beautiful. You have to remember that. Every day. Every day.
If you want people to be happy, and if you want good things to happen to you and people around you, you gotta start that. You gotta be the good. You gotta do something good for other people, because you can't, you can't get anything out of nothing. You gotta create happiness, and creating happiness brings happiness. That's what I realized.
You can choose every morning to wake up with the sun, or you could just stay in bed all day and be sad, but it's so much better to wake up and feel that good and just love every part of being alive and every part of being awake.
I think there's a ton of things that go into what keeps world peace from like being a thing and everywhere being safe and peaceful. But I think a lot of the problems in the world stem from people not being connected to each other, not having love for each other, not having empathy, not having compassion. I mean, there's so many things that keep complete peace from happening. But a lot of it is from people like not having empathy or not having compassion and not being aware that everybody matters. And so I think that's a huge thing, just like empathy not being there and love not being there.
One lesson that my dad would tell me all the time, I don't know it exactly, but it goes like, it doesn't matter if you're stronger, faster, smarter, dumber, have more money, have less money, everybody deserves to be treated equally.
Every single word that you say to someone, every single action that you do makes them feel a certain way, and that's what we have to start thinking about, is how our actions affect other people.
I feel like we're all very similar down at a heart level, so for us to not understand another one's culture and to just kind of hate because of a certain culture or how they look or how they act really affects the whole world as a whole and doesn't further us at all as a society. Like, I feel like a lot of people have their own internal problems, so it's hard for them to love other people and be okay with other people because of how they're raised or how they act or how they see things or how they perceive things. So it's just like,
I love all the people I've ever had a chance to meet, because you can learn something from everyone.
You gotta love everyone despite who they are or what they do, because like we're people and that's what we want. All people want is just to be listened to and respected as a person.
So if everyone loves each other, it's a real, like, love is a very powerful thing, and if you can give it, if you can share it, that's the most important thing.
It's bad when people don't get together. I just don't like the reason why people don't get together, because everybody should be able to be together. Have fun and not fight.